Greetings everybody and welcome to the Armourer. My name is Victor. Again, today I'm joined as usual by Blue and we're looking at the final Bulgarian Road to Nationals that took place in Plovdiv.
And Lexi is going to start first, and we see Sunny loading in a bolt-in shot with a +1 counter most likely.
One of the better cards in Lexi, no disruption, but the reload is really devastating. Yeah, again, full block for that reason.
And I believe that is a Findus fighting spirit, giving him +1 life. Unfortunate, we do not have the life points here, but
hey, that's the norm with our videos, so we're just gonna guess.
We will manage. Then
here we see a searing shot. Again, double blocked, so
yeah, you have no reason not to full block them.
Oh, absolutely. It's really unlucky because usually Iyslander wants to play first to set up Arsenal and things, but in this case Sunny was higher in the Swiss, so obviously he had the choice of choosing.
Yeah, but I don't think Iyslander is so unhappy going second into Lexi, because Lexi can usually just use Voltaire on your turn to start with an additional arrow. Here we see a Winter's Bite. And I believe this is the red version, so it forces him to pitch a blue, which, if he does, will probably hinder his next turn quite a lot.
But I think I see 3 of a kind in Sunny's hand. I'm not sure though, but
I see a premeditate.
Difficult to tell.
So he did pay 3 for the red Winter's Bite.
And so I'm guessing there will be arcane damage that again needs to pay for, or decide to bite the bullet and take it if he wants to keep a turn.
Yeah, I believe he just took it, but that Ice Vein was not fused, unfortunately. Yeah, so it was just 4 damage.
Venti didn't follow up with the Waning Wound because he wanted to Arsenal, which is the smart thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So here we see the premeditate.
Premeditate with the go again arrow flipped from Lexi.
It's a Falcon shot, Falcon Wing. What's it called?
Yeah,
Falcon shot.
Falcon Wing, I believe. Yeah.
Oh, and there's the 3 of a kind. So we both saw a card.
Yeah.
In Sunny's hand.
3 of a kind pitching the Inertia Codex. Falcon Wing coming in for, I believe, 6 because of the premeditate.
Because of the premeditate, yeah.
And Vance is just going to take 3 here, which I think is wise. Like, after the 3 of a kind, you pretty much know that Lexi is going to be coming in for more arrows. So and unless you wanna...
We don't hit effect and then disruption, so this is just go again.
Yeah. Like, my point was that you will probably not be able to stop the premeditate from triggering anyway. Unless you want to just pitch the entirety of your hand and maybe an armor piece.
And yeah, and dedicate a turn to blocks. So here we see a Heat Seeker.
Yep. And this is, I believe, the first arrow loaded from Voltaire, so there's going to be a 3rd arrow. Maybe. Like if the last card in his hand is a...
There should be. There should be, yeah, because the Falcon Wing was his arsenal from the previous turn.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe his last card is not a 0/4. So we'll see. Vance is blocking with his offensive cards here, like an Ice Vein and an E-Strike blocking. I'm quite curious what he decided to keep. And another funny thing is that Sunny actually missed his Tunic trigger this turn.
Although he has Tunic written all over his Voltaire.
Yep.
And another thing is, I really don't know, it's a really strange dice that Sunny's using, but he should have some sort of resource. I don't know if that's 1 or 3 or whatever.
I believe that's 1. This should be a blue card and he paid for Heat Seeker and Voltaire.
So yeah, that's 1 resource left.
Yeah, and he did use his gloves that we no longer have legal, thankfully. And that also means that... Yeah, that also means that Lexi has no arcane barrier now, because that was the only arcane barrier source in the deck.
So face is the place from this point onwards.
Yep. So we're going to have Heatseeker load in a blue searing shot, and then Ponder giving him a card. And this is like one of the most devastating turns that Lexi can have, is where they play like a 5-card hand and end up on double Arsenal. It's like 6 cards next turn.
Pretty much that's why he decided to sacrifice his gloves so early in the game.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like he's planning to be absorbing any arcane barrier anyway. And here we have an Ice Vein, and this time the Ice Vein is fused. So Sunny...
yellow, knowing there's no way for Sunny to AB this.
Yeah, he's taking 4 and he has to just pitch, and he pitches a yellow.
Yellow bolting shot.
Yeah.
Okay, counter on the tunic.
Yep.
This time he got it.
Very important. Here we're going to see just an endless arrow coming up from Arsenal. Which is most likely telegraphing a Snapdragon's use here.
If Vinci decides to allow it hit, definitely.
I mean, even if it doesn't hit, you're probably using it, because otherwise you're just endless arrow pass.
It's a turn here. But then again, that's quite early in the game. He will be missing his gloves, missing his boots.
Yeah, but like, with Lexi, you're generally looking to pressure Iyslander as fast as you can and as much as you
This
can.
build, yeah, this build exactly, that's pretty much what it does. There's not much ice in it, it's just raw
gas.
aggro damage, yeah. So here are the snappies.
Snappy's got him the arrow back in hand.
Yep.
Endless arrow, second time. We'd go again.
Go again from Voltaire.
Yep. And this is going to be another very wide turn. He has like one more arrow from Voltaire and then the searing shot. I believe that's a blue searing shot, but like it's still coming in for 3 of a blue card. We see an ice bolt.
Something. Yeah, that's 3 damage. He'll take it gladly. And reminds me of a line that Theoden of Rohan said, what could men do against such reckless hate? I mean, it's just aggro damage going towards Iyslander. And the life advantage is really key in this match. Because the lower life total that Iyslander starts with allows Lexi to just ignore Arcane and do what Lexi does best.
Yep, just push the damage. And here, unfortunately, one frostbite does not really stop Lexi's turns, especially when they just pitch a blue.
If they've pitched a blue card, obviously, yeah, that's not that big of an issue.
Yeah, but like their deck is made in a way where like the majority of their hands should have like 1 blue and then all gas, and that's exactly what we saw. And like all that Frostbite did was, I believe, made him use the drill shot instead of a heat seeker that he put in Arsenal, which he's like totally fine with.
Yeah.
We're going to use Coronet Peak here, forcing him to pitch one.
And judging by the time it takes the Lexi player to think about this, means that he doesn't have a lot of blues in his hand.
Yeah. I mean, he can pitch a red, right? Like he only needs to pay 1 resource, but he decides to pitch his yellow Codex of Inertia. And I believe we saw Iyslander Arsenal a Channel Lake Frigid, so that can actually stop Sunny's advances.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Lexi's ability, and on the stack we're going to see Channel Lake Frigid, making Voltaire cost 2.
Yeah, he floated the tunic resource like a pro.
In response to the Channel Lake. He's then going to play Premeditate for 2.
in this case, he obviously paid just.
Yeah, because of the frostbite and the channel lake bridge. Yeah. Makes sense. And then just shoot the heat seeker for 8. Andrew Vance is going to block 2. Give him the ponder and use the waning moon. And not only the ponder, but also the heat seeker trigger.
Oh, and that's blocking with another channel.
Yep.
2 channels F to stop Lexi at least for a turn or 2.
I mean, unfortunately, it didn't, right? You played the channel lake, and normally when you play a channel lake, you kind of want to take some damage in order to try and reverse the tempo of the game. When you attack with your things, maybe disrupt, keeping the channel alive. But instead, he had to block for 6, still give Lexi tons of advantage of the ponder and the heat seeker hit, and he's like, he no longer has Arsenal, right? Like he pitched something to Coronet Peak. Lexi paid it, but still has like Arsenal and 3 cards. And seems like enough resources to be able to play through the channel lake Frigid again. 2 resources for Voltaire. Endless Arrow with Go again. Shoot the Endless Arrow. We're going to see an Emeritus Scolding blocking. Take
the
1.
arrow is going to hit.
Yep.
Get back in hand.
Which now allows him
will
to
be
just...
It's a surprisingly good turn. I mean, obviously, if there wasn't a Lake Bridget, that Rain Razors wouldn't be pitched, but probably Sunny's pitch stacking, so we can come up with it later on.
Yeah, like, if I have to be honest, I don't think that this game is going to be nearly long enough for pitch stacking to take effect. But yeah. Eventually had to take a bunch of damage on this turn. Like, I believe 5 damage. And here we have Scar for Scar with the Go again. Lexi's happily taking the damage. Like, the life lead is probably solidly in Lexi's favor at this point.
What I would guess, yeah. And this Scar for Scar will be followed by a Coronet Peak.
Yep.
And Guardian Arsenal.
And I believe
not a bad turn, but
Channel Lake is over.
Bring the tempo back because the channel goes.
Yeah. A play that Iyslander could have done here is Coronet Peak himself in order to pitch the second ice card, keeping the channel alive for another turn. But seeing how Lexi just casually plays through the channels anyway, yeah, it was probably not a good decision. Lexi's ability revealing an Endless Arrow. After that, Voltaire pitching another blue, loading a infecting shot with Go again. Going to pitch a Polar Blast, draw a card, give the opponent Frostbite. Infecting shot coming in. This is something that you kind of have to block.
Yeah, because it is 7.
Yeah, like technically if it hits.
Yeah. Unless you decide to pay the Bloodwork box, but in this case I guess Iyslander will prefer to have an Arsenal.
And we see a Blizzard here, trying to remove the Go again off of that arrow, giving him yet another Frostbite.
But is there like a blue card in Venti's hand? Because I'm seeing a knee strike. And
he's going to block 6. And Sunny decided to not pay the Blizzard, which probably means that he had a red card in hand. Or a yellow one. I feel like if you had a blue card, you definitely just pay the Blizzard, tax Iyslander's hand even more with that Endless Arrow. He's just going to come in with Falcon Wing.
Right, so Vence has a blue Emeritus Scolding in his arsenal. But again, we'll see if he'll manage to stay with any cards in hand. Because Lexi offense continues.
Yep.
Falcon Shot, go again.
Lexi seems to just be way too efficient for Iyslander to handle in this matchup. Like, whenever he's able to kind of stop Lexi's advances, he ends up with pretty much nothing in his own hand. So he has not been pushing damage almost at all. As of recently, maybe like a waning moon here or there, which is usually enough, but here we see a third attack, a third drill shot, which is, if it hits, it's going to get rid of like the entirety of Lexi's armor. And excuse me, fourth attack now with the Endless Arrow. Yep.
So Endless Arrow goes back to hand, gets Arsenal.
Yep. And Venti leaked like 5 or 6 damage this turn and blocked with his entire hand.
I can imagine at this point he's probably at like what, 4 or 5 health.
Yeah, I don't know, but it definitely feels hopeless as of the last few turns. We see the Endless Arrow flipped yet again. Like, Vence is going to have nightmares off of these Endless Arrows. They have truly been endless. I think for the majority of the game, Sunny has had that Endless Arrow, like...
Way too many Endless Arrows, yeah, way too many.
But I believe we saw Venti now finally drawing into his Sink Below, which is hopefully going to allow him to gain some tempo, but unfortunately, in the face of a 3 of a kind,
an extremely fair card. This is absolutely up at rate. This shouldn't get banned or anything. It's perfectly normal.
Yeah. My take on this is that it's only broken because of Voltaire, because like this card is not that amazing in Azalea or Riptide. Like, it just increases the consistency in those decks and they don't even play it, where in Lexi it just gives you insanely long turns.
And here we see a red bolting shot.
Yep.
That will give an opportunity for reload if it hits.
Yeah, it's 5 go again. You normally do not want to use the reload ability, especially in a situation like this, because it means you're only going to shoot 2 arrows. So yeah, it did hit and he did not use the reload ability, he just used Voltaire in order to load the Heat Seeker with go again.
Yeah, because when you have Voltaire, when you can use it twice, obviously.
Yeah, like if it's the last attack, if like your last attack is like a bolting shot and then it loads 1 more, is when the effect is relevant. But here we see Heat Seeker again coming in, and at the end of this chain there's going to be a Endless Arrow once more, and by the looks of it,
it will hit.
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily, right? Like, we see Sink Below in Vence's hand, so maybe he wants to keep that card for the Endless Arrow.
If he doesn't play it now, yes.
Yeah. And we see a Scar for Scar in his hand, so that kind of lines up to block the Heat Seeker and the Endless Arrow, and then just pass the turn, I guess.
Another turn passed.
Yeah.
So, okay, he's thinking.
Yeah. I believe he has Brothers in Arms as his last card in hand, which does not block 3. Like, it can block 4, but he has to use his tunic counter for that.
And at this point, I think he should. Now, there goes the Sink Below, so the Endless Arrow will hit unless he decides on...
Yeah, and I believe he synced his Scar for Scar to draw his last Scar for Scar. And yeah,
And
just
Sunny's going to go.
yeah, to counter Brothers in Arms. At the end of the turn, Heatseeker is going to load a blue bolting shot. He's going to arsenal a card and pass the turn.
I guess there are very few turns left at this point.
Yeah, most likely. Like, Iyslander has been leaking damage every single one of these turns. And she has been failing to kind of return any significant amount of damage. And not even the waning moons.
Yeah, and we see rain razors in Sunny's hand, so
Yeah, and I believe the lightning card in his arsenal, so this is going to be just an incredibly long turn. He's going to start with the blue bolting shot. On top of that, he's going to play the rain razors, giving it go again.
Give it go again, yeah. Which I think Venti will play his sink here, but
yeah,
it's
very
quite a
good
gamble because there are 3 more cards in Sunny's hand and 1 in Arsenal.
Yeah, but I mean, Sunny has the lightning card, so if the bolting shot had hit, he could reload something, flip the lightning card, shoot that something with go again, then shoot the lightning card with go again, then still have Voltaire for like 2 more cards. So that could have been an incredibly disgusting turn.
Alright, so that's bolting shot with +1, I'm guessing, to get go again. On...
Yep, and
But he already has +2 from rain razors, so
yeah,
that's game.
Yep.
Well, very, very well played from Sunny's side. Congratulations. Thank you everyone for watching and join us on the next one.
Bye bye.